This is my January reading wrap-up. Hi everyone, Mariah here and welcome back to my channel. I genuinely can't believe January is finally over. This whole month has felt like a year long. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. I have been so excited to make this video because for my birthday a couple of weeks ago, my fiance surprised me with a brand new vlogging camera and microphone, and I couldn't be more grateful. He knew that I really wanted to do more YouTube this year, and he also knows I want to go on as many bookish adventures as I can this year. So I was so eternally grateful when I opened my present to see a brand new camera. I genuinely started crying. And where it's so nice and travel size, it means I can take it everywhere with me. And I'm so excited because my best friend surprised me with a really exciting bookish adventure in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned because that vlog will be coming out and I'm so excited for you to see it. I genuinely had to look in the mirror this morning and say, who are you and what have you done with Mariah? Because I have not read this many books in a month before. I think the most I've ever read in a month was 4, but they were quite short books, and that was last July, I think. But this month I have read 5, and a few of them are quite chunky as well. At least they are for me anyway. For me, anything over maybe 300, 400 pages I see as quite, oh my gosh, because like I said, typically I only read shorter books. But yeah, I had a pretty good reading month, so I'm really excited to share these. This is going to be completely spoiler free. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book, my thoughts and feelings, and just whether I would recommend them or not. So my first book that I finished in January, literally January 1st, first thing in the morning, was the Christmas Murder Games. I was really busy over the Christmas period, so it meant that I was a little bit delayed on finishing this book. I was really determined to try and finish this before New Year's, but never mind. So this book is a Christmas thriller, and it's basically Christmas Cluedo. So it follows our main character, Lily, and she is invited back to her family manor to participate in kind of an annual Christmas game. It's a Christmas game hosted by their aunt every year. It's very traditional to do in the family, and all the people involved have to solve puzzles, and usually they would win presents. But this year it's slightly different, and she is told in the invitation that if she is able to solve all of the clues and the riddles and obtain all of the keys, she'll be able to solve what actually happened to her mum and who actually unalived her many, many years ago. So it means our main character is very much up for going because she wants to figure out what happened to her mum. So she basically goes down with all of her cousins and their partners and relatives, etc., and they all participate in the game, but only Lily knows what she is solving. The others just think it's a normal Christmas game. I am really 50-50 about this book, and I did give it 3 stars, but let's talk about the positives. First of all, this was so gripping to read. I think because you know what Lily is trying to solve, you want to be there with her on the journey and find out what happened and everything she has to go through. And credit to the author for the most amazing riddles and sonnets, because I would not have the brain to do something like this. I think sometimes it's really easy to forget how much effort really truly goes into something. I can't even begin to imagine how hard trying to come up with puzzles and riddles and actually making it work at the very end. I don't know how people do it. So honestly, 100% credit for being so creative. However, for me personally, there were just a couple things that I think swayed it for me, unfortunately. The first thing is being that I completely understand, right, that logic goes out the window when it comes to horrors and thrillers. If people called the police or if people didn't split up, then credits would roll pretty quickly in a film and the book would be about 3 chapters long. But I think that's why it's really important, at least in my opinion, to make as much realism as you can when you can. For me, the way that the characters behaved when it came to the unalivings, it was just so bland and blunt to me. I was just like, there's literally a dead body in front of you. Like, why do you not seem to care? It's like people just forgot within about an hour and everyone just went about their day. It was much better than the other book I read by the same author, Murder on the Christmas Express. But in this, it was a little bit better. There was people crying and people screaming, but I don't know, it didn't feel very normal to me, in my opinion. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just how I felt. Another thing that really bothered me as well is I personally found it quite easy to know the perpetrator in this situation. And for me personally, I struggle with that because, well, I want it to be a surprise, I suppose. Would I recommend this? I think I would, because I think it's genuinely a really gripping read, But if you don't care about the things that I cared about, then I think you would enjoy it. Up next is the first 6-star read of the year, and I knew this book was going to be good, and it was Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I have been drawn to this book for quite a few months now. I just knew it was going to be a really good book. It's all about a cafe based in Tokyo that allows you to go back in time to a point in the past. However, when you go back there in time, there are exceptions, and one of the rules is that you only have the time it takes until your coffee goes cold, and then you have to return back to the present. So it has 4 stories in there. It's got boyfriend and girlfriend, mother and daughter, husband and wife, and 2 sisters. This is genuinely one of the most heartwarming books I think I've ever read. It's such a beautifully written book, and I believe this was actually a play before it got turned into a book. I would absolutely love to see that on the stage. It's one of the most beautiful books I think I've ever read alongside Divine Rivals. It's so moving and enjoyable. The connection between the characters, in my opinion, was just absolutely amazing. And honestly, I could talk about this book all day, every single day. I would 100% recommend this book because I think it's one of those books that's quite an eye-opener to life. There's a lot of things that it makes you appreciate loved ones, friends and family, etc. So I really do recommend reading this book. And it has a cute cat on the front. Up next is actually an ARC read that I was very gratefully gifted, and it is Mondays Are Murder. And this is actually out on the 13th of this month. It follows our main character, Kay, who is a teenager, and she goes and stays with her cousin and her uncle whilst her parents go away for a holiday. She's currently living in London, but she has to move all the way back to where her cousin lives, which is pretty far. And when she gets there, she notices a note on the bed, and it is anonymously written to her. But there is a threat for every day of the week, and our main character is like, why am I being threatened to be killed? Like, what have I done and why is this happening? So essentially it follows her journey, finding out who is sending these letters, and she meets up with old friends, etc, etc, and they just try and figure out what has been going on. I gave this book 4 stars. I personally really enjoyed this. I thought this book was really fun to read, and it was really, really gripping, especially because you have all of the threats for every day of the week, so you're really curious as to when everything is going to happen on that day. I also just loved how our characters came together and worked with one another to try and figure out what was going on. The banter between characters was pretty good as well. I liked how she kind of had to get close again with some old friends and how their friendship started coming back. But most importantly, the plot twist genuinely did not see coming. But I think it's very much dependent on how it's written. In this case, genuinely was completely clueless. So it had a really nice shock factor to it. I would actually really recommend reading this because even though it's a YA thriller and some people might not find it as eerie or as scary, in my opinion, I think this was written so well, and I loved all of the characters' inner monologues as well. Genuinely really good. Really enjoyed it. My camera just died. I really thought I'd be able to finish by the time my camera died because I didn't charge properly and I like to live life on the edge. So apologies if I'm slightly out of frame. So the next book I finished, which was another ARC, which I'm very grateful to have got, is The Burning Lands by David Hare, and this is a fantasy. It follows a story of a group of people known as Vestal Knights, and they have to follow orders, but they are also gifted and they are able to channel, and it will enhance their magic. They are pretty powerful people. They are basically investigating why creatures known as Vaya are literally burning the entire kingdom to the ground. So in order to figure out what is going on, they decide to mid-battle capture a Vaya and basically take him in for questioning. It is very much against orders though, and I guess their law to talk to Vaya or even communicate with them, so they are kind of really going overboard here. But essentially they want to figure out why they're doing what they're doing and get answers from them, and they start discovering secrets and they start realizing that there is a lot more to this than just people going around burning everything. It's essentially choosing between sticking to what you have been told to do your whole life and who you serve, or going out there and discovering the truth. They have to embark on this big quest and they go and hunt people down, find different things going on, and essentially come together to discover why everything is happening. So I personally gave this book 3 stars, and I know that seems a little low, but I do have my reasons for that. And honestly, for me, it's just down to complexity. I base my ratings off my overall experience and how much I enjoy reading the book. For me, if a book is really complex, it's got difficult names, locations, and all these like manuscript type things, my brain just sometimes struggles to figure out what is going on. And at the beginning of this book, it just felt like there was something that was being spoken about before we go into our main characters and their journey, and I just couldn't quite understand what was going on. So it already set that confusion for me. But if you don't struggle with that, then you might really enjoy this book. Once I kind of pushed past that confusing part, I really did start enjoying the book. In fact, I might even rate this maybe 3.5, 3.75. I can't quite decide yet, but I did really enjoy the character's journey. There is one character in this book who just had me howling throughout the entire book. She's just so funny. I also loved the development of the characters, and we get to really see what they all have to go through. You kind of get multiple povs, but where they're all kind of going through and embarking on the same quest, it's not too confusing. I love the secrets that are discovered and the twists and the mysteries. And overall, I think the world building is so phenomenal. There's battles, there's fights, there's power, magic, there's sages, there's so much in this book, and it was really good. And then last but certainly not least, we have Onyx Storm, which is book 3 of the Empyrean series. So you have Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and then you have this one. So for this book, I actually attended a launch event for this book, and it was a really, really fun experience. Kind of tried to dress up as Violet a little bit, but I couldn't get the silver hair to work. I don't really like spraying things in my hair, and I did buy silver extensions, but where my hair is quite long, it barely made a difference and they couldn't stay in my hair. But in the end, I just kind of did a crown braid and got myself some leg straps and things like that, and I wore my leather jacket, so it was still really cool. And my best friend was Andana, so it was a really nice little experience, and it was really, really fun. There was also a really cool print that we got as well. So yeah, amazing experience. And then I got the book alongside it as well. So yeah, it was a really enjoyable night. I can't lie, I did have to really speed through this book as much as I could, because I needed to finish my book club book, which I hadn't even started literally until yesterday, and I need to finish it by this afternoon. So probably not going to happen, but I'm halfway, so I'm pretty impressed. So it meant I had to go through this one pretty quick. This is a fantasy, and I am really torn on what to rate this at the moment. So at the moment, I'm going to say 4 stars. Could be slightly lower, maybe 3.75, but I'll stick to 4 for now. So it follows the events at the end of Iron Flame. There's a lot more battles going on. There's a lot more discovery that is needed, and essentially our main characters have to go on a quest to find something that they really need to find. Really hard to explain the story if you haven't read the other 2 books yet without spoiling anything, but essentially there's a big adventure type thing going on in this one. For me personally, I did enjoy this book a lot more than Iron Flame. I love how we get more of an adventure type situation going on in this book. Our characters are actually having to go out and discover more places and more things, where we're not just in kind of the same locations as the other 2 books. I also absolutely love that we got to see more of the characters in this book. Riddick absolutely carried this series in my opinion. Love him so much. But yeah, I just think there was a lot more depth in this book. There was a lot more things going on. Really enjoyed the overall experience of this book. The only qualm I have with this is I felt a little bit confused. I was kind of like, who the hell is this person and where are we going? But I think, again, that's kind of just where it's been so long since I read the other 2 books. I read them when they came out, so it was a very long time ago now. Barely remember what I had for food yesterday. Yeah, I think I probably should have reread before going in, but I'm not someone who can reread books very easily. But I still enjoyed the experience. There was another thing that had bit of like a with, and I can't really decide whether I like it or not, but I can't say because of spoilers. Overall, really enjoyed it. There were just a couple of things that I couldn't get to grips with for a while, but that doesn't take away with how much I did enjoy this book. Like I said, lots going on, lots of epic things, lots of twists and turns, lots of discovery. Really did enjoy it. But yeah, now I don't know what to do with myself because of how long we need to wait for the next one. And that concludes my reading wrap up for January. Thank you so much for watching. I really hoped you enjoyed this reading wrap up. I will be back very soon because I'm going to be doing my reading journal for January and everything that I read. So I'm looking forward to creating that video. And like I said, I also have a very exciting bookish adventure coming up in a few weeks. So stay tuned for that vlog. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books, and let me know what your favorite read of January was for yourself. Thank you for all your support. It really means everything to me, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.